Okay. Everybody, please focus on my screen. And today's topic is OSI model. So guys, OSI stand for Open System Interconnection. OSI stands for Open System Interconnection. It is the reference model. It is the reference model. It explains data transmission process. It explains data transmission process. It means how to transmit data in between two computers. For example, you have two computers, PC-A and PC-B. For example, you have a two computer, PC-A and PC-B. And you have to understand data transmission process. Then you have to go through OSI model first. If you have to understand data transmission process, you have to go through OSI model. Apart from this, it supports multi-vendor software and hardware also. It supports multi-vendor hardware and software also. It was developed by ISO, which is International Organization for Standardization, in the year of 1984. It has 7 layers architecture, with each layer having a specific functionality to perform. If we talk about implementation, so it was used only for reference purpose. It was used only for reference purpose. TCP, TCP/IP, Transmission Control Protocol oblique Internet Protocol. It is an advanced version of OSI model, right? And it is implemented with operating system also. Right now we are using TCP/IP model. Right now we are using TCP/IP model. Okay. So here point is OSI. It was only for reference purpose. It is to understand data transmission process. It has 7 layers. It supports multi-vendor hardware and software. Okay, and it was developed by ISO. So it has been developed by ISO, International Organization for Standardization, in the year of 1984. Okay, have you noted the definition of OSI model?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
in next line you have to write it has 7 layers. First layer is physical layer. Second layer is data link layer. Third layer is network layer. Fourth layer is transport layer. Fifth layer is session layer. Next layer is presentation layer. And next layer is application layer. Physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, application layer. Okay. So first of all, we will discuss application layer. First of all, we will discuss application layer. Application layer. Now, what is this application layer? It is responsible to provide. It is responsible to provide. It is responsible to provide. It is responsible to provide network services. It is responsible to provide network services to the users. It is responsible to provide network services to the users, such as email service, file and print sharing service, etc. Please go through this article. We find the application layer which is implemented by network application. These applications produce the data which has to be transferred over the network. This layer also serves as a window for the application services to access the network and for displaying the received information to the user. Okay. But if anyone asks, you can give a very simple reply. The application layer is responsible for network services. It means it provides network services to the users. It provides network services to the users. The application layer is also called desktop layer, and it has many protocols. It has many protocols. You can check the functions of application layer. First is network virtual terminal. It allows a user to log on to a remote host. Second is FTAM, which is file transfer access and management. This application allows a user to access file in a remote host. Mail services provide email services, directory services. So these are the functions of application layer. Please do not copy and paste. Just note down the main points. I'll share this study material in a group also. Right now you have to understand all the points. And if you have any query or any question, you can ask. If you have any query or any question, you can ask. Right? One more time, I'll repeat this. So here the definition is very simple. The application layer is responsible for network services. So it provides network services to the users, such as email service, file and print sharing service, remote desktop services, directory services, etc. So we find the application layer which is implemented by network applications. So if you have to open browser, so there is a role of application layer. If you have to open any application in system, for example, Messenger or any other application, there is a role of application layer. So these applications produce the data which has to be transferred over the network. And this layer also serve as a window for the application services to the access the network and for displaying the received information to the user. The application layer is also called desktop layer. It has many protocols. The function of application layers are network virtual terminal, FTAM, file transfer access and management, mail services, and directory services. I believe this is clear to all.
Yes, sir.
Everybody,
Yes, sir.
good.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we have to discuss the protocols of application layer. And the first protocol of application layer is SMTP protocol. SMTP protocol. SMTP protocol. Guys, do you know the full form of SMTP?
Simple
Good.
mail transfer
Simple mail
protocol.
transfer protocol.
Good. Simple mail transfer protocol. Port number 25. And what is the use of SMTP? It it forwards emails from one user to another user. We all have a email accounts, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
we all share emails with our friends, right? With organizations, etc., etc. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So every time we share any email with anyone, there is a use of SMTP protocol. There is a use of SMTP protocol. Okay. If I talk about email clients, it means Microsoft Outlook. So while configuring an email account in Microsoft Outlook, you have to configure SMTP protocol also. While configuring an email account in Microsoft Outlook, you have to configure SMTP protocol also. While configuring an email account in Microsoft Outlook, you have to configure SMTP protocol also. So it is very, very important for email purpose. Next, POP 3. It means post office protocol version 3, port number 110. It receive emails from users, right? We have a same role of POP 3 protocol also. So while receiving any email, there is a use of POP 3 protocol. Same in case of Microsoft Outlook also. So if we are configuring any email account in Microsoft Outlook, we have to configure POP 3 protocol also. Next, you all are aware, FTP stand for
File
file
transfer protocol.
File transfer protocol.
transfer protocol. Okay, port number 20 and 21. So what it does, it is used to upload and download files from server to client and client to server. What is next here? Telnet. What is this? It is telecommunication protocol. It is a okay port number 23. It is a remote desktop protocol. It is used to remotely log in from one computer to another. Next is HTTP. What is this?
Hypertext Transfer Protocol.
Hypertext transfer protocol. Port number 80. What is the use of this? It is a web browsing protocol. Next is HTTPS. You know the use of that and full form. Port number is 443. DNS, domain name
Domain name system.
system, port number 53. Port number 53. It translate host name into domain name or vice versa, or we can say, or sorry, host name into IP address, or we can say domain name into IP address and IP address into domain name. We have DHCP, dynamic host configuration protocol. It distributes IP addresses to clients. It distribute IP addresses to client. SNMP, simple network management protocol. So it is a network monitoring protocol. Port number 161. Everybody, this is done.
Sir, I actually have a doubt, and that is about Telenet. Like next to port number 23, it is written like it is a remote desktop protocol. What does that mean, sir? What is the remote desktop protocol?
Okay, remote desktop means, for example, I have a two computers and I have to remotely log in from one computer to another computer, or I have to remotely access the desktop of my friend computer, right? Then I have to use Telnet protocol.
Yeah, sure, sir. It's clear now.
Okay, we have an alternative also of this, that is RDP. This is called remote desktop protocol. You can read about this also. Remote desktop protocol. It works in CLI mode. It means command line interface, but it works in GUI mode, right? So Telnet and RDP actually, those two are internal protocols of operating system, right? Just like Microsoft Team, just like Teamweaver, just like any desk, right? Just like Zoom, right? So all those are external applications. All those are external applications, right? So just like Microsoft Team, Zoom, AnyDesk, right? We have some internal protocol also. Those we can use to access desktop of other computers. Okay. Have you written this? Everybody, have you noted?
Yes, sir.
LSNMP.
Sir, I have a
Okay.
doubt, sir.
Okay.
Sir, what do you mean by port numbers, sir?
Okay. Port number, it is an unique address of protocol. So Amrit, we have 1,000 of protocols, right? If I talk about port number range, so the range of port numbers is 0 to 65,535. In between 0 to 1023 are registered port numbers with protocol. Those are fixed, right? So we have 1,000 of protocols, and every protocol has an unique ID that is called port number, or that is called address. So it is an unique address of protocol. It is divided into two parts. One is source port address and the second is destination port address. Okay. So it's a
Yes, sir. Thank you.
responsibility of transport layer to add port number every time. Okay. Now this is the presentation layer. The presentation layer is also called the translation layer. The presentation layer is also called the translation layer. The data from the application layer is extracted here and manipulated as per the required format to transmit over the network. So what is the role? What are the responsibilities of presentation layer? So it's very simple. Please focus here. Point number one, it is responsible for data format. Data format, it means file extension, right? For example, I have to share JPG file in my network. or I have to share MPG file in my network, or I have to share .doc file in my network, or I have to share any other format file in my network, right? So we need someone who can add file extension, who can check file format, who can check file extension. So here the presentation layer is responsible to check file extension, or we can say the presentation layer is responsible to represent data format. Understood this, everybody?
Yes, sir.
This is the first responsibility of presentation layer. Second, it is responsible for encryption and decryption, right? So before transmit any information in the network, we have to encrypt the data, right? And while receiving data, we have to decrypt data. So we need someone help who can encrypt the data, who can decrypt the data, who can compress the data, who can decompress the data, right? So all those are presentation layer responsibilities. The presentation layer is responsible for data formatting. It is responsible for encryption. It is responsible to compress and decompress data, right? Everything is mentioned in this article also. You can go through and you can copy this. The presentation layer is also called the translation layer. The data from the application layer is extracted here and manipulated as per required format to transmit over the network. The function of presentation layer are translation. This is first. Second is encryption. Data encryption translates the data into another form or code. The encrypted data is known as the clip, sorry, this cheaper text, and the decrypted data is known as plain text. So a key value is used for encrypting as well decrypting data. Compress, it means reduce the number of bits that needs to be transmitted over the network, right? So this is all about presentation layer. Let me know if you have any doubt on presentation layer.
Clear, sir.
Good. Have you copied?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next layer is session layer. You can read this article, right? Definition is very simple. So this layer is responsible to establish, manage, and terminate connection in between sender and receiver. This layer is responsible for the establishment of a connection, maintenance of session, authentication, and termination. So what it does, first, it establishes a network connection in between sender and receiver. Then it manage that. And finally, it terminate that. You can read about the function of session layer. First function of session layer is session establishment, maintenance, and termination. So this layer allow the two processes to establish, use, and terminate a connection. Synchronization. This layer allows a process to add checkpoints that are considered synchronization points in the data. So these synchronization points help to identify the error so that the data is resynchronized properly and of the messages are not cut and the data loss is avoided. The third point is dialog control. I believe you all have heard about simplex, half duplex, full duplex. Simplex, it means one-way data transmission. Half duplex, it means two-way data transmission, but one at a time. Full duplex, it means two-way data transmission at the same time. Okay, here we have one example also. You can understand this in a very simple language. If I have to establish network connection with you guys, first of all, I have to share the request, right? And you have to accept my request. After that, after that, connection will automatically negotiate in between us. And after that, we can transmit information to each other. So this process is called, I mean, this layer is responsible to establish, manage, and terminate connection in between sender and receiver, or we can say in between two application, in between two application. Have you copied this, everybody? Good. Let me see if I can see all 37 people or not. No, very bad. I can see only 3 plus 4, 7 plus 3, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, so including me, only 18 people. Or people have a problem to turn on their video. Turn on your video, please. Otherwise, you have to pay fine. Yes. Good. Thirty-three people. Still, there are 4 candidates. Still, there are 4 more people. They have a problem to turn on their video. Who all are those? Rashmita. Rashmita and Praniti, right? Okay, I can see Lakshmi, I can see Pujita, Gayatri, Bhavesh, Naga Lakshmi, Soumya, Tanvi, Shravya, Mona Reddy, Ramya, Nagendra, Karishma, Surya, Navya, Amrut, Tarun, Kalyan, Nikita, Swapna, Sana, Vinay, Kavya, Hema, Nandini, Roshni, Usha, K. Lokesh, Triveni, Pavan Kalyan, Sudeshna, Jessita, M. Pujita, Sainath, and Harit. Rashmita, are you there? Rashmita, are you there? Praniti, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Please turn on your video.
Sir, actually, I have a problem with my camera. It's asking for access, I guess, but it's not turning on, sir. I'm trying.
Okay. So you have a problem in your webcam, right?
Yes, sir.
Soumya, please note she has to pay 50 rupees penalty.
Okay, sir.
Kavya, Kavya,
Sir,
what about your video?
it's on, sir, since
It's
last time.
on. Okay, good. Rashmita, Rashmita, I can't see Rashmita and I can't hear also. Okay, this layer is very important and this is a transport layer. So next layer is transport layer. This is the layer number 4. Layer number 4. Okay, so point number 1, the transport layer is responsible for process to process delivery of data. The transport layer is responsible for process to process delivery of data. It has some other responsibilities also. 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 For example, segmentation, port addressing, segmentation, port addressing, connection control, error control, flow control, etc. Now we have to understand all the points one by one. So first, understand the meaning of process to process delivery of data. It means delivery of data is not in between two computers. Actually, it is in between two application. Actually, it is in between two application, right? So, there is a difference in between postman and courier boy, right? So what postman does, he generally hand over your letter to anyone, right? But if we talk about courier boy, so they take signature also, means they take acknowledgement also. So there is a difference. Same thing is here also. End to end, process to process, it means application to application. Read this article. The transport layer provides services to the application layer and takes services from the network layer. The data in the transport layer is referred to as a segments. It is responsible for end-to-end delivery of the complete message. The transport layer also provides the acknowledgement of the successful data transmission and retransmit the data if an error is found. If we talk about segmentation, at the sender side, the transport layer receives the formatted data from the upper layers and perform segmentation and assign sequence number to each segment. On the other end, it reassemble all the segments. Do you know segmentation? Segmentation, it means to break data into number of segments. To break data into number of segments. So what transport layer does? It is responsible for segmentation. It breaks data into number of segments and assign sequence number to each segment. And assign sequence number to each segment. And on other end, it reassemble all the segments. Point number 2, port addressing, right? So we have discussed this port addressing in case of protocol. Now, what is this port addressing? It also adds source and destination. It also adds source and destination port numbers in its header and forward the segmented data to the network layer for process to process delivery of data. What is this port number? It is an unique address of protocol. It is a unique address of protocol. Range of port addresses is 0 to 65,535. In between 0 to 1023 are registered port numbers. So it is a unique address of protocol, right? While sending data, transport layer has to add port numbers also. So transport layer has to add source port address and destination port address in the header. Read this note. The sender needs to know the port number associated with the receiver application. Generally, this destination port number is configured either by default or manually. For example, when a web application requests a web server, it means we are trying to open www.google.com, right? It means we have to type http double colon slash www.google.com, right? It means we are we are sending our request on port number 80. So it typically uses port numbers 80 because this is the default assigned to the web application, and many applications have a default port assigns. At the receiver side, transport layer reads the port number from its header and forward the data which it has received to the respective application. It also perform sequencing and reassemble of the segmented data. If you have any doubt, let me know. Have you gone through this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we have to discuss point number 3. This connection control. Connection control. So guys, there are two types of connection. There are two types of connection. One is connection oriented and the second is connection less. One is connection oriented and the second is connection less. Do you know what is the difference in between connection oriented and connection less?
In connection oriented service, there is a distinct connection between two wires.
Connected with cables and wireless.
No. In case of connection oriented, we have a proper connection process. But in case of connection less, there is no connection process. So if I talk about connection oriented, first it establishes connection in between sender and receiver. Then it transmit data. Finally, it is wait for acknowledgement. And after that, initiate termination, means session termination. But in case of connection less service, there is no process. It directly transmit data from sender to receiver. And there is, as there is no acknowledge, right? It means there is no guarantee of data transmission or data receiving also, right? So there are two different types of connection. One is connection oriented and the second is connection less. And which layer is responsible for this? Transport layer is responsible for this. It depends on protocol. If we use TCP, it is a connection oriented protocol, right? It follow connection oriented process. But if we talk about UDP protocol, it is a connection less protocol and it follow connection less process. Go through this once more. Done this?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Now
sir.
you have to make two columns. One side you have to write TCP, another side you have to write UDP. One side you have to write TCP, another side you have to write UDP. TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol. TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol. UDP stands for User Datagram Protocol. TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol, UDP stand for User Datagram Protocol. TCP, it is a connection oriented protocol. UDP, it is a connection less protocol. TCP, it is a connection oriented protocol. UDP, it is a connection less protocol. TCP, it is reliable. UDP, it is non-reliable. TCP, it is slow. UDP, it is fast. Have you copied this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anyone have any doubt on transport layer?
So it's clear.
No, sir.
Okay, so guys, the next layer is network layer. Next layer is network layer. It is the third layer of OSI model. It is the third layer of OSI model. It is responsible for routing and logical addressing. It is responsible for routing and logical addressing. Have you noted? It is the third layer of OSI model. It is responsible for routing and logical addressing. Read this article. The network layer works for transmission of data from host to host, from host to other located in the different networks. It is also takes care of packet routing, selection of shortest path to transmit the packets from the number of routes available. The sender and receiver IP address are placed in the header by the network layer. First function of this layer is routing. The network layer protocol determine which route is suitable for source to destination. And the second function of this layer is logical address to identify each device on internet network uniquely. The network layer defines an addressing scheme. The sender and receiver IP addresses are placed. Logical address, do you know? IP address. Logical address, it means IP address. Guys, one of my team member will join you after this session. She will explain you about Amazon process. So we have approximately 100 plus demands with Amazon, right? And two things are good. One is they are offering work from home right now. Second is they are offering 3.6 LPA, but it's a non-technical requirement, right? So there is no force. You have to take a final call. If you are interested, if you are interested for a non-technical job, if you want to apply for Amazon, right? So you can show your interest, right? She will note down your name, and after that, she will process your profile. You have to face 2 to 3 rounds of interview. First, you have to qualify glider test, right? Which is just like a version test of English version test, and then you have to qualify higher pro test, again communication test, and after that you have to attend one a final interview with Amazon, right? So this is with Amazon. Salary is 3.6 LPA, and they are offering work from home also, but it's a non-technical requirement. Okay, and there is no bond. You can quit anytime after 3 months, 3 to 4 months, and after 3 to 4 months, if you feel no, now I should join HCL, so you can means you can come back to me and you can join HCL also. So HCL is always open for you guys, right? But right now, if you want to join Amazon, so you can discuss with her. Understood this? And one more advantage in your case, guys, you will get your home location. So in case of Amazon, the job location is Hyderabad. So let's suppose um, in case of work from home also, sometime we have to visit office, right? For example, once in a 15 days or once in a 30 days, we have to go there, right? So in that case also Hyderabad, means as you all are from Hyderabad, so Hyderabad is the best place for you guys. Okay, understood or not, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's move forward, and the next layer is data link layer. It's too big. So it is a second layer of OSI model, and it is responsible for node to node delivery of messages. The data link layer is responsible for node to node delivery of messages. The main function of this layer is to make sure data transfer is error free from one node to another node over the physical layer. So it is responsible for error control also. First, it is responsible for node to node delivery of messages. Second, it is responsible for error control. It is divided into two sublayers. One is LLC and the second is MAC. Here LLC stand for logical link control. MAC stand for media access control. Read this article. The packet received from the network layer is further divided into frames depending on the frame size of NIC network interface card. Data link layer also encapsulates sender and receiver's MAC address in the header. The receiver's MAC address is obtained by placing an ARP address resolution protocol request onto the wire asking who has that IP address, and the destination host will reply with its MAC address. Right? The function of data link layer is framing, physical addressing, error control, flow control, access control, etc. So first, it is responsible for framing. It means it makes frame of data. It makes frame of data. So framing is the function of data link layer. It provides a way for a sender to transmit a set of bits that are meaningful to receiver. This can be accomplished by attaching a special bit, physical addressing. So physical addressing, it means MAC address, hardware address, Ethernet address, error control. The data link layer provides the mechanism to error control, in which it detects and retransmit damage or lost frames. Flow control, just to maintain the flow of data. Access control, when a single communication channel is shared by multiple devices, the MAC sublayer of the data link layer helps to determine which device has control over the channel and at a given time. Okay, so in simple language, you can mention first, it is responsible for node to node delivery of data, right? Second, it is responsible to transmit error-free data. It is divided into two sublayers. One is logical link control, and the second is media access control. So if you talk about media access control, this layer is responsible for physical addressing. LLC, this layer is responsible to control error. If we talk about functions, so there are many functions of data link layer. Point number one, it is responsible for framing. Second is physical addressing. Third is error control. Fourth is flow control. And fifth is access control. Done? Have you copied this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And guys, the last layer is physical layer. It is responsible for actual physical connection between the devices. The physical layer contains information in the form of bits. So it is responsible for transmitting individual bits from one node to the next. It means first it checks connectivity of source and destination. Second, it converts data into bits before transmit any data packet. Have you noted? Everybody? Everybody, anyone have any doubt?
No, sir, it's clear.
It's
Yes,
clear?
sir.
Good. So I'll share video recording with you guys. You can go through the video recording once more, and I'll share notes also with you. So you guys can go through the notes also, all about OSI model. Okay.
I follow.